We are looking at part 2 of Constructivism. This little video mini lecture will look at cognitive apprenticeships, situated cognition, and using what's on our head to construct our view of reality, our memories, and how and what we perceive. First, cognitive apprenticeship. Cognition is thinking. Apprenticeship, working with a skilled expert. This is when younger or less skilled learners work with older or more skilled learners. And we see this in a multi-age classroom or multi-grade classrooms, where children are in circles or at tables and they can naturally hear the thinking of older students. This is how learning naturally occurs. Cognitive apprenticeship also has to do with cognitive modeling, and this is anytime a teacher thinks out loud to model the thinking process. This is used to teach any process. Let's see, what do I need to do? The process of comprehension. First of all, I need to stop. I need to ask myself, do I understand? That's an example of cognitive modeling. Situated cognition is when learning is dependent on and can't be separated from the context in which it is learned. Things learned in school do not transfer outside that place. And of course, this does little good if school things do not transfer to the real world. Teaching for transfer is the ability to use knowledge and skills in other contexts beyond the context in which it is learned. This is the idea. One way to create transfer is to make the classrooms more like real life. The wall between classroom and reality becomes invisible. We simulate reality to the greatest degree possible. We use project-based learning and real-life types of learning activities in the classroom. Constructing perception and memory. It's a top-down process. We use what's in our head to help us create meaning. 10 times more information flows from the cortex to the thalamus than from the thalamus up when we are trying to make sense of the world. And perception goes from our eyes to the thalamus and up to the cortex. Our brain naturally looks for patterns. It wants to fill in the blanks based on what is in our head, the neural networks, the schema. All right, we use this right now. Many of you are seeing a bunch of dots, but it's a dog. You see that picture. Our brain is naturally filling in the blanks. Had we never encountered a dog before, this would make no sense to us. The brain is essentially a memory machine in that it predicts, it reaches out. The sense data then is used to confirm, revise, or deconstruct these predictions, or create our current view of reality. So it's predicting, and we use this to create and recreate reality. Knowledge affects perception, both what we see and how we interpret that perception. As we act upon the world acts upon us, meaning that as we act upon the world, this creates a change in the neural networks. New pathways are created, new neural networks. Schema is expanded or recreated. So we create our own reality. The world we experience is formed by our perception, but our perceptions is formed by our experience. So it's this circular thing. Perception both affects and is affected by the world as we experience it. So knowledge affects memory as well, both how it's interpreted, how it's processed, and how and what is remembered. We use what's in our head to interpret reality. We encode and we retrieve, and as we do so, we use what's in our head to help us remember, which helps us put teaching in some sort of context. 3 views of teaching. Teaching as transmission. This is a behavioral view where there's direct instruction and behavioral objectives. We teach. It's an outward thing. Teaching as transaction. This is a constructivist view of learning, and it's supported by cognitive and neurocognitive theories of learner. That there's a transaction between what's in the head, the learner, and what is to be learned to create learning. And teaching as transformation. We will hit this later, but this is a holistic or humanistic view of learning, that teaching is a matter of transforming the self or bringing the self to a higher level. And this is supported by transpersonal psychology or transpersonal learning theory. Just an overview, constructivism.